Reviews for the week will include Brie Larson trying to prove if there's still any life left in Captain Marvel. Also, I have an early review of Taika Waititi's Next Goal Wins. Let's see if he knows anything about soccer. But first, we got to talk about David Fincher's The Killer. And nobody directs a thriller quite like David Fincher, which is one of the primary reasons to see The Killer. Never afraid to get inside depraved characters or portray them with a graphic neo-noir lens, here's a film that basically cries out for a director of Fincher's sensibilities. Also exciting is he's back to working with screenwriter Andrew Kevin Walker, who's no slouch to depraved characters himself. They last collaborated on Seven. They can't reach that level again. In fact, much of the time their work here kind of resembles a kind of Death Wish clone, but it has both polish and an introspective thoughtfulness. It stars Michael Fassbender as the killer, who quickly dispels us of the notion that the jet-setting hitman is in any way glamorous. In fact, much of his life is spent waiting, hidden for days on end in a sniper's perch, until the perfect shot can be attained. During that time, he ruminates on his philosophy, methodology, and how the mornings are different in Paris than in other places. This is a man with no real loyalty to anything other than getting the job done. Never deviate from the plan, never trust people, never show empathy, never lose focus or hesitate or lose track of the objective. Fassbender plays him in the coldest of terms, effectless and controlled, adhering to the killer's main motto of, I don't give a fuck. Fincher and Walker give us an intimate look at how the killer operates. Yoga and push-ups are done to stay active. The Smiths are usually his music of choice, and just waiting for his heart rate to settle enough to take the shot is enough to put you on edge. Much of the film is done with Fassbender's narration, and the stream of consciousness is often funny, coming from his disaffected lips. Another motto of his is WWJWBD, which was what would John Wilkes Booth do? He uses fake identities, usually of TV show characters from the 60s and 70s, and his observations on life, consumerism, and his storage locker have a tinge of black humor. But okay, the plot. Something goes wrong on a job in Paris, and when he returns home in the Dominican Republic, he finds that his lover has been severely beaten and clinging to life. The killer declares vengeance. And when I say the film feels like Death Wish, it's in the way the character preys on people. The movie offers a lot of sneaking around and trailing people in the dark. There are violent shootouts, a knockout, drag-out fight, actors like Charles Parnell, Tilda Swinton, and Arliss Howard cameo for their punishments. None of this is bad per se, but it would probably feel more derivative if it didn't come with a psychology behind it. Fassbender's man has whittled his entire life down to procedure and execution. And what fascinated me even more was that there is some duality to this man. Beneath his day job of violence, there is a normal life, a girlfriend, etc. The near constant narration can be pretty hard to stay with at times, and the film does become a movie about a jet-setting killer after explaining to us that the life is so much different than that. But despite its adherence to solitary procedure and old thriller tropes, Fincher and Walker do work hard to make this guy interesting, if not likable. Swinton does her best to imbue her high-class assassin with some menace, and there is an actress in this film named Carrie O'Malley who plays a frightened underling with very strong conviction. The rest of the cast does nicely, but Fassbender, with his athletic physique and wry nihilism, is basically the show. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross also can't be discounted for a wonderfully heart-pounding score. Now, watching killers be efficient is hardly a new thing in the movies, but there's just enough nuance to this one to make it a decent enough character study. Fincher and Walker have done better, but together, The Killer is in good hands. That's why I'm going B. All right, next up is Next Goal Wins, which is a sports movie so beholden to the formula of sports films that it's hard to tell where the formula ends and this movie begins. I mean, is it an occasionally funny film? Yes. Am I certain that director Taika Waititi cares about the sports of soccer or the team at the center of the film? He's based on a 2014 documentary of the same name, which chronicled the American Samoa national soccer team. And these guys really sucked. They got annihilated 31-0 in the 2001 World Cup qualifier, and now 10 years later, they're still looking for their first goal and a new coach. And the American Soccer Federation sends them Thomas Rongen, who is played by Michael Fassbender. Once a top soccer player, he doesn't seem to be much of a success with his jump to coaching. Fired from 3 teams already, he's a washout who's been left with this one final chance to save himself. Fast becomes a fish out of water, and perhaps the most genuine part of the film is that Waititi tries to show the life on the island for all the simplicity it offers. This is occasionally funny, like when a cop who thinks 35 miles per hour is a high-speed chase. We also see the culture, the way they pray, their pre-game rituals, the way they even feel things differently. There are pleasant enough people around the island too, like Oscar Kitely playing the president of soccer operations, among many other things. He's an infectiously cheerful man who desperately wants what's best for the team, so much so that he funnily has all manner of Great White Hope references to apply to Rungan, and at one point bets the team will win, only to wind up with boobs drawn on his face. The one bit of real nuance here comes from a character named Jaya, played by a transgender actress named Kamana, who plays a transgender woman in the movie who, at the moment, still qualifies to play on the men's team. The players have a real heartfelt way about her inclusion on the team, and Waititi is most impressed with her expanded role as the movie progresses. But if he seems interested in her, much of the rest of the film feels like he's taking the characters for granted, preferring some feel-good, goofy slapstick and well-worn sports formula cliches over really getting us invested in the team. Here we have another coach who needs to help himself by finding community, players who suck because they need someone to believe in them, and in the end they all just need to hear the phrase, be happy and have fun. I'm sure there was more to the team's success than these Hallmark style card teachings, but Waititi's interest in soccer and in the individual players both seem surprisingly limited. Fassbender struggles to find moments where he can be real genuine. He's a sullen, sour person in the first act, does a 180 into lovable coach in the second. The one time where he's not just going through the motions is in a locker room speech where his temper and his past are both brought to the surface. The real standout here is Kamana, who is very funny, she's capable, and easily able to rise above the brunt of the insults leveled against her character while dealing with the hormonal imbalances along the way. No doubt Waititi wanted to make something wholly crowd-pleasing, and this may even work for some people. Just I left it wondering if he cared about the story, or if he just wanted to make a send-up of sports cliches. He again has that problem of when to be serious and when not. These were some issues with the Thor films as well. It makes for a kind of funny movie that also isn't nearly as compelling a true-life sports film as it should be. That's why I'm going C+, guys. All right, and lastly, we have The Marvels. And yes, it's another Marvel movie is out again. Must be time to discuss whether the MCU is still relevant. And I think Loki is doing a pretty good job of proving it still is, but it's really done wrong by Carol Danvers, who had a mediocre first outing, and now this. Kamala Khan at least got a decent Disney Plus sitcom out of this deal. Those are actually 2 of the Marvels, played by Brie Larson and Iman Vellani. The third is Monica Rambeau, played by Teyonah Parris, the little girl from the first movie who apparently was hit with a witch hex in WandaVision, and that's how she got her light powers. 3 of them soon find themselves switching places with each other, the result of jump points in space entangling their light powers. The villain here is Dar-Benn, who's played by Zoe Ashton, a warrior from the planet Kree who I think is also responsible for the jump points. She calls Carol the Annihilator due to how she helped the Skrulls, who are these guys, defeat the Kree in Captain Marvel. Dar-Benn's home world was destroyed, and now she hopes to disrupt the peace treaty with the Skrulls. Now, if you've been watching Marvel television and movies in the past couple of years with an in one ear, out the other approach, you may find yourself struggling to keep up here. It's the MCU after all, you have to remember everything that came before. Plus, there's all sorts of techno jargon involving quantum wristbands. But past the again trying to figure out an MCU plot, the characters don't even make it worth it. There is nothing to hold on to here other than gobs and gobs of special effects. All it really does is plug these three ladies into another routine adventure. Larson isn't asked to convey much, and she's not terribly good with the tonal switches from lighthearted to serious. Paris is someone I'm trying to remember one scene she was even in this movie, and I can't think of a standout. And Vellani seems to get the bulk of the comedy, and at least she's energetic. The shrieky fangirl stuff gets cloyingly old very fast, though. Candyman director Nia DaCosta, Kevin Feige, or whoever the hell's directing these things nowadays, was saddled with the task of bringing them together as a unit. And there's some animosity between Carol and Monica, and I think there was even a scene between the three where they all do double Dutch jump rope in this sort of fun little thing because, you know, if you want to get women to be fast friends, you gotta go double Dutch. But every one of these scenes feel like it was jammed in there to cover the fact that the film has no time for real chemistry, and then these scenes disappear just as quickly. There's no real villain in this movie. Ashton is just another destroyer bent on revenge. Her motivation just feels redundant to other MCU villains, and there isn't much the actress can do with that other than try to be angry crazy as possible. I'd say the saddest character in the movie, though, is Nick Fury. Samuel L. Jackson is now just on the sidelines cheering things like Black Girl Magic. He's also involved with a bunch of shtick involving the cat with tentacles that comes out of its mouth. Oh, and the cats. Okay, there's this one scene where a bunch of these cats are born, and everyone on the spaceship is trying to herd up the cats, all set to Barbra Streisand's Memory. It's so unfunny. I think I teared up a bit. I think this scene will probably make it impossible for Nia DaCosta to ever book a comedy ever again. And if that doesn't, another scene on a planet called Aladna will. This actually starts out promisingly. Just the way the inhabitants of the planet are dressed and acted, I thought we would get sort of a Bollywood-inspired musical. Instead, we got something so lame where the characters just sing conversations to each other. Really, everything here is pretty bad, including the CGI again. It's so chaotic, and when it's not chaotic, you can see the cheesy fakeness of it. It doesn't know if it wants to be funny or suspenseful, and in the end, it's just always messy. There is an end credits scene, but other than giving Kelsey Grammer another moment with one of his older characters, it didn't mean much to me. The film is short, though it feels longer than Killers, and it's infinitely less satiating. We've had some real dog superhero movies this year, but this one is by far the most unmarvelous. That's why I'm going D+, guys. So overall, I would say that the big winner this weekend is The Killer. If you can't find that one in theaters, it'll be on Netflix starting Friday, November 10th. Also, The Holdovers expands more this weekend, guys. It is a definite crowd pleaser. I recommend it highly. I will be back next week with new reviews of Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario. There's also a new Hunger Games, and then there's Eli Roth Thanksgiving. But until then, these are my opinions, guys. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know down below there. Also, if you could, click that subscribe button, click that like button, and I hope to see you back here next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.